Hello, everybody, and welcome to another adventure in history. I'm your host, Shane McInnes, and it's been a Thursday. Yeah, welcome. Thursday indeed. I've never really felt like Thursday had a specific feeling, except for maybe Friday Eve. Hey, Moose, what's up? Dude, I kind of feel that, though. I kind of feel the need the coffee. It hasn't been a bad day. It's been, and I say this with full appreciation of the fact it's been a bit of a mediocre day, and I'm trying to be mindful that mediocre days are better than bad days, and days where things just kind of like go. Those are okay to have. It is Thursday. wait, it's Thursday? It is indeed, dearest. It is indeed. Yep. Since a few hours ago. Yeah. Oh man. So how is everyone? Welcome on this Thursday. I hope you all are doing well. Like I said, it's been a pretty good day. I got some work done at work today, which is a place to get work done. So felt pretty accomplished with that. Got home, hung around on the interwebs a little bit. Got to hang out with some cool people and have some good chat. So that was nice. Got to relax while I was doing it. Tomorrow is a short day leading into a 3-day weekend. And that's going to be excelente. And me just remembering a moment ago that it's going to be a 3-day weekend is a great feeling. Sometimes, I don't know if you all have ever experienced this, but sometimes I get so sort of like laser focused on like today and what's going on today that the future can kind of get fuzzy. But yeah, I just realized that I have a 3-day weekend coming up. So that's going to be awesome. I'm very excited about that. And that means I get to do stuff on Sunday that I normally would not do because guess what? I don't have to wake up at really flipping early in the morning on Monday. So that's going to open up some opportunities, and I'm pretty excited about that now. I'm playing all of this out in my head. So, yeah. Alrighty. So, the show is Adventures in History. We talk about historical stuff. We try to cover things in a way that's fun and approachable. We don't sit up in an ivory tower and look down at people. With Monday off, you can go to church on Sunday. You won't, but you can. There you go. The possibilities are endless. The world is your burrito, as Weird Al Yankovic would say it. So yeah, we talk about historical stuff on Thursdays like we are right now. We are covering history in order. And that's right. We started at the beginning and we are working our way through history. And we're doing it in sort of chunks or phases. The phase that we are in right now, by the way, a term that I stole very regularly from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We are in the phase that stretches from about 200 BC to about 0. Or about 1. There is no actual year 0 to about 1 BC. So that 200-year stretch. And we are working our way across the globe. We started a couple of weeks ago on this phase, talking about some religious changes over here in China with the development of Confucianism. And then last week we talked about the Han Dynasty. And today we're going to be talking about this region right here. This sort of Central Asia, the Shane's Historical Universe. I'll take it. The shoe. I like that a lot. Alexanderland. Well, yeah, but we are now well past Alexander's death, and what happens to that area after that? And that's what we're going to be talking about. This region right here, which is today all of those countries that end with Stan that everybody loves so much. You know, we have Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan and Afghanistan and Pakistan and Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. you see a kitty face. Where's the kitty? I don't see the kitty. I'm looking for it, but I don't see it. In Kazakhstan up here? Is it a soft kitty? Is it a warm kitty? Is it perhaps a little ball of fur? All right. Maybe something in there where all these countries interact. I don't know. I don't see it. But that doesn't mean that it's not there. This could be just a Rorschach test and I'm failing it miserably. But anyway, yeah, so this area right here, there are a lot of different regions of the world, in the ancient world, that have ties back to this area. And especially during this particular phase of history, one of the most important things to remember about that area is that this region, this sort of Central Asian region. Pinky? Oh my goodness. Are you not entertained? Is that why you are here? That is why we are here. Pink Epoxy coming in with a gigantic raid. Thank you very, very much for the raid, Pinky. And I got my raid stuff fixed. So it actually went to the little alert thing when you came in this time. Oh, hi, oh, hi. Hello, everybody from Pinky's raid. Oh my goodness, with all of the cool people. Hello. Bum ba dum, bum ba dum bum, bum ba dum bum bum. I'm doing quite well. And Schwarzer Kunstler, thank you so very, very much for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. Dun 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 dun. Polar Martian, thank you for the follow. And I hope everybody's having a good one. So, for those of you that might not have been here before, we're going to just hit the... Yes! Wolfie! Thank you for the follow. The secret is that I know you're really just doing that because you want to see that awesome gif of the dude with the whip. It goes so well. So well. Okay, so... we're actually just sort of getting off of the ground here and getting started. So I can give everybody a very brief rundown. My name is Shane McInnes. I teach history in college. I hate the concept of the boring old white guy teacher that teaches history. I don't want to be Professor Binns from the Harry Potter world. I like to have fun, and we're going to make... I don't have any sort of fancy things, Crimson Clover. I'm not yet pro streamer like Pinky is. I can tell you that I've been following people and people have been following me. You can also just click your name and it'll tell you how long you've been following. But anyway, so I teach history in college. I like teaching stuff in a way that is approachable and easy. We don't have to be fuddy-duddy. We don't have to be stuffed up and goofy. We can make horrible bad puns and dad jokes and all of that fun stuff. Tonight, the topic is this region of the world. I can zoom out a little bit so you can get a better idea of where we're talking about. This sort of Central Asia region right here, which a lot of people kind of don't really cover very much in world history. And we know about it a little bit when like Alexander takes it over. And then most people don't really talk about this area again until we get something like, when the Europeans are colonizing this area, and then we talk about it again in relationship to terrorism. But what about the 2,000 flipping years in between that junk? There's a lot of stuff going on, right? So there's a region right here, and there's a few kingdoms that we're going to sort of focus on for tonight, and one of those is Bac-tria. And I know everybody's like, oh, that sounds tasty. Where's the Bac-tria at? It's this region sort of right in here. It's just south of Sogdia. Yeah. Bac-tria is where the camels come from. If you've ever seen the kind of shaggy two-humped camels, those are from Bactrian. They're called Bactrian camels. There you go. Which brings us to the title of tonight's stream, which is something that I always try to do and make a bad joke out of it. So tonight's title is Bac-tria's Back, Alright, which everybody knows. And now, if that song is stuck in your head, I do not apologize. And I need to look to see where this kitty is. Moose has mentioned the kitty in the map. Okay. Okay. I see it. That's southern Afghanistan and into Pakistan. That ancient region would have been called Gandhara, or perhaps the Sindh, depending on how far down the Indus you got there. So maybe it's, instead of soft kitty, we have Sindh kitty. Sindh kitty. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it work, Moose. I'm just trying to do what I can. So, yeah, we're going to kind of just move around. If you have questions, let me know. If you've got bad comments or goofy little ball of sand, there we go. Yeah, so the region that I'm referring to here is either Gandhara or Sindh. Yeah, so if you want to go do some ancient cartography and look at ancient maps, that's kind of the region where the kitty's face is. Modern day Afghanistan and southern Pakistan. So there's that. Yeah, so we're going to get going. And if anybody has questions, or if anybody wants to make comments or pitch in some ideas or sidetrack me and make me chase rabbits, that's all good. We're here to hang out. I hate the concept of thinking of my show as a lecture. I really like to think of it as a conversation. So that works a lot better if I'm not just talking with the voices in my head, of which there are many. So if you have anything that you'd like to, bring it on. It doesn't look very suited for climate-wise, for civilization. Yeah, it's kind of arid. But there is quite a bit of mountain range kind of activity going here. And if we were to zoom in on some of these valleys, let's take these valleys here in northern Afghanistan, and we zoomed in on them, you can start seeing the water sources, because all of these big honking mountains right here, which are the Hindu Kush mountain range, all of these areas get really, really heavy snowfall, and that snow runs off. And even though it's pretty arid, in these valleys where you see all of these waterways, you can get some green stuff going. So even though it is pretty arid and rugged, it's capable of supporting life. But for this particular time period that we're talking about, again, we're in a phase right now from about 200 BC to about 1 BC. And in that area of time, this region in Central Asia is a hotbed of trade. That's right, because the Silk Road had been established, and we are connecting the giant economic powerhouse of Han Dynasty China with all of these old world and European civilizations over here. And that is the good stuff. The money is going to be coming through like crazy. But the thing is, everybody wants a piece of that money, right? This is like the time where you go break the guy's kneecaps because they don't have your money, because everybody wants some of that money. Was Bac-tria from a time pre-Turkic invasion? Yeah. The Turks exist around this period of time, but they are in what we would call a proto-Turkish group. The Turks themselves don't really start getting kind of organized and formulated until the later AD time periods, probably somewhere between the 600s and 700s AD is when you really start seeing the first organized Turkish movements. And then by the time we get to around the 800s and 900s, they're being hired out by the Arab caliphates and being brought down into that region of I can point to this region, but the Turkish people are going to come from up here. And we'll actually talk about some of their ancient descendants, well, not descendants, their ancient ancestors today, in the form of people like the Yuezhi and the Scythians. And that kind of people, the steppe people, are going to be the sort of ancestors of the good old-fashioned Turkish movement. But was it as arid then? Yes. Even though there are some changes, the rivers in this area do change course occasionally, especially the Indus River, this big honking guy right here. It changes course quite a bit. But for the most part, the area that we're talking about was probably roughly the same. It might have been a little bit cooler, which made it a little bit easier to support life at that time period. But for the majority of the period of time that we're covering, it's not going to be too terribly different than it is today. It's a great question, though. Where is Petra? So Petra is in Jordan, and Jordan is right over here. And inside of Jordan, Petra is right about here. Beautiful place. Love it, love it, love it. One of my favorite places that I've ever been to. And I should also note, as part of the introduction stuff, I do travel and I do some field survey archaeology stuff. I've been on a few dig sites. I'm not just the sit at home talk history guy. I like to get out and do history. So I've got some fun stories, and I might break some of those out a little bit. Hunk, again, you don't have to raise your hand, dude. We're not in a lecture. I have pooped on some dig sites. I have. It's unfortunate. It's what happens when you stay out on the field all day. You got to get. Everybody poops. And I'm not pooping on the active dig sites. You just go off to the side. A lot of these big cities are acres and acres of city, and you just got to go poop somewhere, right? Yeah. Okay, so Greco-Bactrian kingdom. What are we talking about? Let's set our stage here. There were Greeks, and Greek people, of course, come from Greece, which is way over here. Is now a good time for an impression? Hunk, you can do impressions whenever you so desire, my friend. If you have the adventure points, you can redeem them whenever you feel like it. So, the Greeks under Alexander the Great had conquered all of this honkin' chunk of land right here. And that means the Greeks had spread all the way out here. And that means the Greeks had a lot of presence out in this area. And after Alexander dies, his kingdom falls apart. A whole bunch of people fight over it. People just kill each other and kill their family members, and it gets really nasty. But there's this guy named Seleucus who takes over this whole big chunk over here, and he sets up something called the Seleucid Empire. Dig up a running water toilet, and maybe next time, as to not make a mess, the Greeks had running water systems, and if you don't use some of that stuff, it'll be much happier. Oh yeah, the Greeks did, and so did the Romans had organized toilets. Theirs were actually kind of a place to go to hang out. A big open room. Everybody kind of sit around and do their business and chat with each other. Of course, running water is invented by the people over here in India, the Harappans, way back in the 2500 BC range. Avocado kids. Dun 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 dun. Hunk, you are all about making me do impersonations of Becca, and I really don't know what else I can do. Becca and the Bear, if you do not know her, good friend of the stream, awesome streamer herself, feeling pretty bad right now. So if you've got the good juju and the good vibes, and you send some out towards the Becca, she's got the COVID. Is that where the name of the Saluki dog came from? I believe so, yes. Oh yeah, we're totally going to get the impression. I'm just saying, like, Hunk really likes making me do impressions of Becca. And I'm running out of things that I could do effectively. So I have to always stop and think, because I've done a whole bunch of stuff already. And Hunk, what should I say? What should I say, Hunk? Or give me a... Yes, absolutely. Becca and the Bear. The Bear definitely has the COVID. Becca suspects that she has the COVID. So we are doing the fingers crossed in that direction. Hey, Joey, what's up? Welcome, welcome. So maybe I could pull my shirt up like this, because Becca almost always has a hoodie on or a blanket over her head because it's very cold there during the winter. So I could do like this and get a pencil like I'm doing art, because I'm arting. And I by the way, I can't do art worth a crap. I draw disproportionate stick men. So we're just doing art, and what would Becca say? If Becca had a Gundam become a follower. If Becca had a Gundam become a follower of her channel. So Becca's doing art, and her little follower thing goes off, and it's like, oh yeah, and it's a bat stretching its wings, and Becca's like, oh yeah, and she goes, oh, a Gundam. I know about Gundams. I have a friend named Shane who builds those on stream. So, honey, welcome to the Bear Den. Love you. Have a great day. So there's Becca. You need to poop. See, everybody poops. You'll lurk for the view. We were on the topic, so don't mind me. Kelly drops the choose your own again. Kelly, what is your topic for your second choose your own adventure? And I just realized that I did not do something the right way on that. You've never requested a topic before. Well, then you didn't need to do that one. You needed to do the first one. So we need to... The other one wouldn't let you redeem it. Well, that's no fun. What do you mean it wouldn't let you redeem it? Let me see. Hey, KP, welcome. So we're trying to see what's going on with the Choose Your Own Adventure channel point thingy. So we do have a lot of things below us. In the adventure point world, you get to do lots of stuff. So Choose Your Own Adventure should have been there for 10K. KP, could you refund Kelly's Choose Your Own again? And let me turn this off. And then I will turn it back on. And then click save. All right, Kelly. Try the 10,000 one after KP redeems your or returns your 20,000 one. Okay, so basically we have viewer requests, and if you hang around long enough and you spend the points up, you can actually choose a topic for a Tuesday night viewer request stream, which is what Kelly just did. But for some reason, it's being kind of futsy. So there we go. Okay. Anyway. Hunk, I hope that was everything that you thought it could be. So, we're talking about this region, Greco-Bactria. Let's actually get on topic for a little bit. We can do this if you want. We can talk about other things too. I'm not going anywhere, right? Anyway, so, what's going on? Okay, so there's a big empire called the Seleucid Empire. And they're kind of mean. And the guys that run them are kind of jerks. So the people that are living out this far over here in Asia don't want to really be part of the Seleucid Empire at all. So there is a guy that's one of their governors. And his name is Diodotus. And he rules from 250 to 235 BC. So he was originally one of the governors of this region under the Seleucids. And he decides, you guys can shove it. And he decides, I'm going to set up my own kingdom. And this is Diodotus. Not the naked guy on the left, or the right, rather. I hope Twitch TOS doesn't get all ticky about me showing Zeus's butt here. Anyway, this guy is Diodotus. And he's the guy that's going to start the Greco-Bactrian kingdom. He's going to secede from the Seleucid Empire. He's going to say it's time for a new kingdom. He sets up his own kingdom. And of course, right off the way, the Seleucids are like, we don't like that at all. And the Seleucids try to come and attack him. And it turns out that there are also other people that are causing issues. If David's wee-wee is good, Zeus's butt should be. Can we show David's wee-wee on Twitch stream? I don't know if we can. I've been putting little black boxes over everything. So I try to be tasteful. I hope Zeus's butt doesn't get us in trouble. There's another group of people right here called the Parthians who are going to be trouble. So Diodotus has got to deal with a lot of people. Parthia attacks, Seleucids attack, and then a whole bunch of people up in this area. These sort of steppe nomads, these horse people. They're not actually people that are horses. They are people that herd horses. These are people kind of like the Mongolians and the Xiongnu. Mars attacks. There we go. It'd be like Mars's or Greco. Great. Oh, good gracious. It'd be Mars's Greek stepbrother. No Bojacks. Even though BoJack Horseman is a great TV show, no, that is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about horsemen. We're talking about people that raise horses and that do a lot of stuff on horses. Hey, Vern, not centaurs, no. Nomadic people that are very interested in riding and growing and farming and all that kind of stuff, but centralized around horses. They're going to be problems. And all of these people are going to be pushing around Diodotus and his very young kingdom. However, this guy's pretty savvy. He's got a fairly large army. He's got a lot of money, especially, because, again, this area is very rich in trade, which is one reason why everybody wants to hold on to it. More goods means more money. So then you can use that money to buy all sorts of cool stuff, like armies, right? Because despite what modern American politics thinks, armies cost money. I try not to get too political, so that was kind of like a... no, they're not Rohan. They don't really live in cities. Rohan had cities. By the way, I'm a giant fan of the Lord of the Rings stuff, so if I go off on tangents and start talking about horse people or the Rittermark, just bear with me. Or horse with me, perhaps. I don't know. Anyway, so Diodotus, pretty good guy. I don't know why I just erased his name, because guess what? His son takes over. Guess what his son's name is? Anybody? Diodotus the Second. They're Dothraki. They're kind of like Dothraki. The upkeep is real, right? At the beginning of every turn, you got to pay that upkeep. I also used to play Magic the Gathering a lot, and I kind of dabble around with it right now, so I keep up with that stuff. So lots of nerd references, by the way. All nerd references are fine, and I'll probably catch some of them. And if not, you can explain it to me, and I'll revoke some of my nerd points. They're closer to Dothraki. Yeah. That would be a fair assertion there. So Diodotus I actually sets up a dynasty. He's going to bring his son Diodotus II up to sort of co-rule with him. They were able to fight off the Parthians and the Seleucids. They have some fights with these nomadic people from up in the north, but they're able to push them off. And Diodotus is able to peacefully share rule with his son until he passes away. That happens in 235 BC, and Diodotus II takes up. If you go, hey, what does Diodotus II look like? This. This guy here on the left is Diodotus II. Look at that manly beard. Oh, yeah. The legend on the coin, by the way, to the right says King Diodotus. It actually says Diodotoi Basileus, but we all know Greek, right? The origin of the Kentucky Derby. Close enough. Why not? So this is a coin of Diodotus II. And I should note, we'll be looking at a lot of coins tonight. One of the reasons is that there's not a lot of statuary that comes out of this period of time that we have recovered. And part of this is because so much happened so quickly. Who is the spear person? You mean this person holding the spear? That is Athena. Well, no, that would not be Athena, because Athena is a Roman goddess. That would be the equivalent of Athena, who is Diana. No, Demeter. Demeter. There we go. Tasty cake. Oh, yes. Watch and poop. Sitting on your toilet, listening to the nerd talk. How the heck does someone get so interesting? That's what I like to hear, avocado kids. That's the good stuff. Because, you know, again, history doesn't have to be super flippin' boring. It can be fun, and we don't have to sit here like, Diodotus II took over after the successive rule of his father, Diodotus I. Diodotus II was faced with several emerging problems, including the growth of the imminent Parthian Empire, However, the Seleucid threat was a larger one, and Diodotus II found it logical to team with the Parthians instead of fighting against them. Yeah, that kind of crap is boring as junk. And I kind of just drooled a little bit, so that's pretty horrible. Athena, no, not Athena was. I did say Athena was Roman, but I'm going crazy. My Athena is Greek, and then I immediately gave.
You shall have camels, horses, an armed escort, provisions, desert vehicles,
and tanks.
You're welcome.
Minerva is Roman. Yeah. I'm serious, dude. You can see you've traveled. I was in Japan for a decade, so we learned a ton there. Oh, Avocado Kids. I love myself some Japan history. Love it, love it, love it. One of the viewer requests that we've done already was specifically on samurai. So if you want to go back in the VODs and check that out, we did a whole episode on samurai. There we go. TBD. Okay, cool beans. And thank you very much for the batas. Much appreciated. Anyway, so Diodotus II. Here's the thing. The Seleucids don't like the idea that these countries are getting set up on their borders. And there's a really big king named Antiochus III that is going to be causing some trouble here in just a second. But the Seleucids are trying to retake this area, which is called Parthia, and the Greco-Bactrians over here. And even though the Parthians and the Greco-Bactrians don't really care for each other, this is one of those, if we stop fighting each other and we both fight the Seleucids, we could probably kick their butt. So that's what they do. And this is sort of a risky move because the Parthians didn't really like them very much and had already been sort of trying to take over some of their territory in the first place. So this is like a calculated risk, right? We're going to team up with the guys that we don't really care for to beat up the guys that we hate. And it actually works out pretty well because the Seleucids at this point are having a lot of trouble over in the other part of their empire over here in the Mediterranean world. They're kind of getting their butts kicked by the Egyptians. But we'll talk about that later. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The enemy of your enemy is your enemy's enemy. That's an accurate statement. Anyway, so Diodotus II is still very, very much Greek. And that's an important thing to remember because that's going to start changing slowly but surely. Hey, Cave, what's up? So you're still going to see Greek stuff like Athena there on the coin. You're going to start seeing a lot of, the sort of the Greekiness come out of this. Even though the region is mostly native Bactrian people, the ruling civilization crustal area is still the Greeks. They're going to fight off the Seleucids. Things are going to be going great. And then when it seems to be going really great, it starts going bad. Dinner's a cooking. Oh yeah, I love Tasty Cake, by the way. Tasty Cake shirt. There's a whole story that goes behind the Tasty Cake shirt. I love snack cakes. I'm a giant. I used to weigh a lot more. I've lost a lot of weight. Anyway. So, here's the thing. Things are going good. The ruling family, they're called the Diodotid dynasty, which, of course, comes from Diodotus. Not very original. They're going to be firmly in charge. Diodotus II is ruling pretty well. Things are going great. There's money moving in. And when the borders seem to stabilize, that's when some of his own leadership are going to decide, it's time to kill this guy. Because, what's going on? We're bored. We do not have enemies. May as well kill the king, right? I'm not going to say I need to lose a lot of weight, but 10 to 15 pounds wouldn't. Okay, so Diodotus II is going to be challenged by one of his generals, a guy named Euthydemus I. And I know these are horrible names that are in Greek, and they don't look very familiar, and they sort of sound funky. And it looks like Euthydemus or Euthydemus. It's Euthydemus. Anyway, this guy decides that he wants to be in charge, and he starts a civil war against Diodotus II. And it doesn't go so great for Diodotus because, well, let's just be honest, Euthydemus is kind of a big dude that's pretty important. But before we move on, it's important to sort of look at exactly what we're talking about. So I have a map here that I want to show. I want to show you. So what we're looking at right here, this blue area is the region that Diodotus II controls. And here we see Bac-tria and Sogdiana. The Parthians here. This is the Caspian Sea. By the way, I hate the way that they colored this map because they colored the Seleucids light blue, which looks like this should be water, but this isn't water. This is Iran. And you see Darsharatha, which is a kingdom over here in India, which we'll talk about next week. But this is sort of the height of Diodotus II's kingdom, and it's about to change a little bit. Alexandria Ascate was a city that's actually founded by Alexander the Great. It's referred to as Alexandria the furthest out there. Bac-tria is the capital. The city here, let me see if I can... Well, you can see that better than I can. This is called Ai-Khanum, and this is a really, really important archaeological site because from that site, we know that a lot of this stuff happened. It's sort of the type site for this whole time. But anyway, this guy named Euthydemus, who is this handsome fellow here, decides that he's going to go kill Diodotus II. Eurythmics kills Dido. Oh man. I guess that they don't want to tell him thank you for giving him the best day ever. But, you know, I guess sweet dreams are made of these, huh? Anyway, yeah, he's a pretty grumpy looking dude. But anyway, that guy is going to start a civil war. He's going to kill Diodotus II, and he's going to then... Yeah, I know it was a bad dad joke. You can groan all you want to. It's my channel. I'll make bad jokes if I want to. Hey, Ginger Cheeks, welcome, welcome. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. So Euthydemus takes over, and he starts the Euthydemid dynasty. Hey, there's a great name. Sweet dreams are made of Thebes. Sweet dreams are made of cheese, I guess. Actually, I really like cheese. We've done a history of cheese, by the way. So that dude looked like he needed yeah, he needs some help. He's not having a good day. Well, actually, he's having a pretty great day because he ends up taking over the entire kingdom. I'm doing pretty well. Who am I to disagree? KP. Well done, sir. That's a good one. I'll take it. Maybe he's the only person in history who doesn't poop. That's why he's so mad. He just couldn't poop. If I couldn't poop, it'd make me upset. Get a little Bac-tria up. Yeah, I did that. Hey, Fod. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so Euthydemus. He's a Greek. He's from a region called Magnesia, which is ironic because milk of magnesia has stuff to do with digestive stuff, but has nothing to do with that now. Anyway, Magnesia is a good old Greek area. This guy is a good old-fashioned Greek. And when he comes in, he's going to have a really big problem because, again, the Seleucid Empire under this guy named Antiochus III is going to be really big and troublesome. Antiochus III, or Antiochus Megas, which is Antiochus the Great. Anyway, the Seleucids are really going to decide that they want to take Bac-tria back. Bac-tria back. All right, see, this is where I'm getting at. That's why they don't show him below the waist. I like it. It's just a bust. Anyway, Antiochus is going to show up, and he's going to really be interested in taking Bac-tria back. And Euthydemus has a really, really big fight on his hands. And even though Euthydemus has a lot of cavalry, he's going to have a pretty big loss. And he's going to get stuck in his capital city, and Antiochus is going to lay siege to the city for 3 years, which is crazy long to have a siege or even a battle or anything. But the problem with Antiochus is that he's fighting in so many areas. So Antiochus... Dun da dun! Dun da dun dun dun! Thank you so much for that follow, and welcome to the adventure. So anyway, Antiochus is controlling all of this area, and he's fighting over here, and he's fighting down here, and he's fighting over here, and he's fighting over here. And he realizes that he's wasting a lot of effort on Bac-tria. And even though he really wants the area, he has hurt them enough that they might just pay tribute if he leaves. So he poses a deal to Euthydemus. And the deal is essentially you bend the knee and dun 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 dun. Aloe Wade 80, thank you for the follow and welcome to the adventure. Very promising content. You hope you can follow up. Yeah, everybody's welcome. We're all hanging around, just chilling, talking about history, making horrible dad jokes and bad puns and all of that fun stuff. So here's the thing. Euthydemus is in a bad spot. He's been sieged for like 3 years. He's in a bad place. Antiochus could, if Antiochus so desired, probably wipe him out. So they're going to go back to the old school way of making peace. And that means I'm going to sell you off my daughter. That's right. So Antiochus is going to basically seal the deal. And there's a good old-fashioned daughter for elephants trade. Because one thing that that old Bac-tria had was access to elephants. So I'll give you elephants if you go away and not kill me. And I'll say that you're my king and pay my daughter's dowry with elephants and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, but there's this sort of rumor, and this is something, yeah, money and elephants. We joke about elephants around here all the time. But what about the camels? The camels were being used, but they weren't like war camels. There were war camels in history, though, by the way. The good old Daughters for Elephants trade works every time. Anyway, so Antiochus bugs out, and there's a little bit of question here because some people that are historically minded, war pigs, not war pigs, that's a song. Anyway, there's this thought that there are these people moving around up here. And Antiochus understood that he needed buffers. Because if these people up here invaded into this region, wouldn't it be nice to have some sort of throwaway kingdoms between you and these invaders that could sort of soak up some of the damage before it got all the way to you? Like Daughter for Elephant. You can't deny that the generals were gathered in their masses. I don't know if there were witches in black masses, though. Is that Water for Elephants? I haven't read that book. Water for Chocolate, Daughters for Elephants. Need buffs? Call a bard. Didn't they make that into a movie that I haven't seen either? Anyway, so here's the thing. This is where we sort of have to start thinking globally because, again, the world is sort of shrinking in a little bit. So here's the deal. There are two big things happening. Number one, around this time, in the early 200s, the Han Dynasty has solidified its control over this region, and it is becoming a dominant powerhouse of a country. That is pushing people out of this area into what we would today call Mongolia, and those people are called the Xiongnu, who had their own empire under a guy named Modru Chanyu, and they had their own sort of power base, but that meant as they firmed up their borders, they were pushing people this direction. And those people that were getting pushed, we mentioned them last week if you were around, they're called the Yuezhi. And those are these nomadic steppe people that seem to be kind of floating around in the nebulous dark spaces of Central Asia that are going to be causing trouble. Yeah, I think Rob Batten was in that. So here's the deal. Antiochus goes away. Euthydemus becomes king outright. And his family is going to continue to rule. And we're going to skip a couple of rulers after him. We're going to skip his son mostly to get to his grandson. A guy named Agathocles. Such a great name. Don't you want to look down at your firstborn son and go, I'm going to call you Agathocles? Nobody wants to name their kid Agathocles, right? What time period are we? Agathocles rules from 190 to 180. I hate that it went that way. All right. He rules from 190 to 180 BC. Here's the thing. Agathocles, he's feeling pretty good. His granddad was king. His dad was king. The area has sort of shored up. He's going to go on the offensive. He thinks that it's time for the Greco-Bactrians to really put their mark on the map and take some territory. And so this guy's going to invade basically in all of the different directions. He's going to invade south. And he's going to target places like modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan. And he's pretty successful. And he's going to be so successful that he ends up breaking into northern India. This region right here is called the Punjab. And he's, again, pretty successful. And here's the thing. There's going to be a big change that happens under Agathocles. And the change is that as he's conquering these other areas, these places that were less Greek, he himself and his rule are going to start looking less Greek and more native. And in fact, if we look at the art and the coinage that comes out under Agathocles, he starts using both Buddhist and Hindu imagery. He's still going to use Greek as a text, but he's going to start picturing himself a little bit differently. And I'll show you a coin here of his and see if you can notice something that might try to tie him a little bit closer to India. So here's Agathocles. So right off the bat, if you look at this and you go, is this guy trying to make up with the Indians? How would he be trying to make up with the Indians? Is it perhaps the fact that he's got a giant elephant hat? Yeah. Hey, Joby Door. Welcome, welcome. Let me make sure I'm doing... Oh, my goodness. I didn't do any kind of shout-outs for people. I'm such a horrible host. Go follow Pink Eye Poxy. She is amazing. She does great art. You should absolutely go follow Pink Eye Poxy. Chill stream. Great person. Awesome crowd. Also, Joby Door. Go follow Joby Door. Great dude. Always great chat. Just all-around cool guy. Also, we have Kelly Howlett. Great artist. Lover of niche, strange music that just makes me happy in all the right ways. Go hang out in her stream. She'll send you a postcard with some art on it. Cool person to hang around with. If I've missed anybody... Oh, Cave Geek. There we go. I'm such a bad shout-out personer. Cave Geek, such a cool guy. Does map making and uses traditional techniques, stuff like that. You go check out Cave Geek. He's a cool dude. Smallpox blankets. Yes, Polar Martian. This is very similar to Alexander trying to emulate the Egyptians. When Agathocles gets down into India, he's like, hey, look, I'm like one of you guys. And they're like, you're not like one of us. You're a Greek dude. You don't look like one of us very much at all. But it seems like this works, that he actually adopts Buddhism. And that's going to be a pretty big deal because the Greeks prior to him had been very, very Greeky, right? His granddad was from the old homeland of the Greeks and had traveled all the way across this ancient world to get to Bac-tria before he took over. But this is what happens when times change, right? People shift and perspectives shift. And if you want to hold on to this area, you got to make some changes. But here's the thing about Agathocles. He is so successful. He is going to be probably the most successful of the entire Greco-Bactrian kings. Let's look at a map of the territory that he covered. Oop, I've gone too far. Let's actually wait on that. Let's talk about Eucratides first. How about that? My bad. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I'm getting kind of excited. The Greeks were geeky. I'll take it. I'm a geek. I'm a geek. He's a geek. She's a geek. 'Cause we're all geeks. Hey, is there really more to life than being really, really, really ridiculously geeky? Greeklander. Anyway, so you keep thinking that the title says Greco-Bacteria. One of the prospective titles tonight was bacterial infection. I try to come up with really bad puns or song title puns for the titles, and bacterial infection was one that came up. Also, Bac-tria's back, all right, which I've had stuck in my head now. And another alternative, I don't know how many people listen to the Beatles, but another one was Get Back, Tree Where You Once Belong. Get back. So, there we go. Is Get Back? I'm pretty sure that's the Beatles, isn't it? Or is that the Rolling Stones? Am I about to get myself in trouble? Yeah, okay, that's the Beatles. I don't know why I doubted myself. Don't doubt yourself. Anyway, Bac-tria to the Future. That was literally Crimson. That was literally my first potential title. Cave Greek art. Please do a recap after cause my kids kept screaming. Oh, kids screaming. Shane could be the Weird Al of history. Okay, so true story. When I was in high school, I wanted to be the next Weird Al. I literally wanted to take over the mantle of Weird Al when he stepped down from doing music. And I started styling myself as Weird Bob Yankovic because Al starts with an A and Bob starts with a B. So I called myself, my nom de plume was Weird Bob Yankovic. And I parodied so many songs. Oh, so many songs. If your kids keep screaming, just go Agathocles on his butt. I have so many parodies. Oh, so many. Weird Bob the stand-up comedian. I did stand-up for a while, too. Okay, so here's the deal. Agathocles, we don't really know what happened at the end of his life. The text sources are pretty sketchy. Some of the native Indian sources say one thing. Other Greek sources say one thing. We just know that about 180 he died. Yeah, he died. He didn't get killed, but we don't really know exactly what was going on by the end of his kingdom. But what we do know is that there's this guy named Eucratides the First that's going to take over. I don't like your little red squiggly line. You go away. I know how to spell that. Eucratides. He takes getting spanked like nothing. Yeah, so Eucratides is not related to Agathocles. And what Eucratides is going to do is start killing all of the descendants of Euthydemus, the Euthydeman dynasty. And he's going to try to kill all of them. He's not going to kill all of them, but he's going to give it a shot. Yeah, there could be only one. Are you sure he died? He could have been an immortal. I would guess. I mean, he did have a cool hat. There's spanking, and then there's conquering them all the way to India. So here's the thing. Eucrates is going to kill some of Agathocles' family, and he's going to take over the kingdom of Greco-Bactria. And when he does so, he's really going to lean on this India expansion territorial area. Now, Agathocles had expanded a lot, north, south, east, and west. Eucrates is going to be really interested in taking over, especially India. Eucrates, by the way, rules 171 to 145. Because India has a lot of population, it has a lot of money, and it's got lots of big cities. So Eucrates is going to be really, really interested in moving down into India, and he does so extensively. He is going to add a lot of this region down in here, and he's going to cross over and get all the way to the far side of the Indus, which is a pretty big... Yeah, spices! Sounds like that dude was an old Hitler. The concept of racism has to be set aside a little bit because ancient people didn't have racism the same way that we did. He was interested in taking over everything and wiping out all of his enemies. That could really describe a lot of ancient people, or even maybe modern people. Game of Thronesy. Yeah, I would go more Game of Thronesy. There's a lot of Game of Thronesy kind of stuff going on with like family members tripping out and escaping and going that way and conquering other people and going off to foreign places. Anyway, so... Ooh, I didn't show you Eucrates. Okay. Here's Eucrates. Boom! Now look at that dude. That dude looks like a decent ruler. He's got a cool hat. Right? But notice, he's got the horses. Horses are way more Greeky. This guy doesn't look very India-y. It is a nice coin. I think it's a pretty cool one. I wish I had one of these. Good gracious. But anyway, yes, this guy's kind of going a little bit towards the Greeky side. And it's pretty apparent that not everybody is a big fan of that. Hats required. India-ish, perhaps? Anyway, so Eucrates is a pretty successful ruler. And he's going to get a big chunk of territory under his control. And that territory looks like this. So this is the extent of the Greco-Bactrian kingdom. So if we were looking at this at its height, Greco-Bactria is a pretty big region, and it's controlling lots of these big cities that are controlling lots of trade coming out of China. You can see that China by this point had expanded all the way over into the Tarim Basin. This would be under the ruler Wu Di, one of the biggest and most powerful Chinese emperors. So the Greco-Bactrians are making a lot of money. You're sensing Scythians. Oh, Polar Martian, you are so accurate. We are getting to the Scythians in just a moment. Here's the thing, though. When old Eucrates gets down here in the India region, those old enemies, the Parthians, decide maybe it's time to rebel and kill some folks. The Indo-Greek pendulum. That's actually a pretty good way of thinking about it, where our rulers are deciding whether they're going to swing towards the Greeks or towards the Indians. Well, the Parthians want to swing towards independence, so they're going to rebel, and they're going to take this opportunity to try to get rid of the Greco-Bactrian control. But here's the thing. It's kill a clock. It is kill a clock. Because Eucrates is going to go, oh, crud, we need to leave India, we need to go back up, and we need to take care of this Parthia issue. And as he's moving through some of these territories that had been controlled by the last ruling family, and territories that had been loyal to the last ruling family, people see him and they go, hey, that's the guy that killed our friends. And guess what happens to Eucrates? Well, he gets killed. And he gets killed by his son, which is a really weird thing. You would think, well, maybe it was one of these people that, that he had a grudge against. But it turns out that his son wanted to take over. And he thought that this would be a great time to do it because his dad was surrounded by enemies. His dad had a rebellion going on. And if you kill your dad in front of the enemies and go, look, I'm going to go back to being more like Indian, and I'm going to kind of bring back the old Buddhist Hindu stuff. Look, I just killed my dad. That can gain you a lot of sway. So Eucrates gets killed by his son, but it's in a pretty bad way. His son runs him over with a chariot. That's not a good way to go. And not only does his son run him over with a chariot, he then drags his dead body behind the chariot until it kind of just like falls to pieces. And then when the soldiers try to stop and pick up the pieces of the king and bury him, his son goes, no, we're not burying that jerk face. Just leave him there for the birds. Everyone loves people who kill their parents. Oh yeah, like full out road hustle. Yeah, exactly. Grandma got run over by a chariot, as opposed to the good way to get killed. Right? So Eucrates gets killed by his own son. Yeah, it's totally like Mad Max. That's how to get away with murder Greeky style. Somebody didn't get enough hugs. That would incur the wrath of the gods. But here's the thing. Does the son really care about the Greek gods? Or is the son just trying to appease the native factions of Hindus and Buddhists? We don't really know. But what we do know is that in the middle of this murder affair, the younger son, whose name is Heliocles, by the way, the son that does the murder is Eucrates II. Eucrates II has to go into a civil war against his own brother, Heliocles I. So you've got brother versus brother, and the kingdom of Greco-Bactria that had just been that giant chunk of people that was covering all of that territory immediately splits up, and it's all brother versus brother stabby time. Maybe the son saw destruction and an impossible campaign. Perhaps so. Also not good for reincarnation. Not so good for reincarnation. Spinning chariot spreading human remains really represents the separation from samsara. Oh, that is definitely that's not the samsara that we're looking for. That sort of cycle is the wrong kind of cycle. You're not going to escape from that one. Heliocles sounds like someone who could get a good tan. Oh, karma. Yep. I'm just going to say that you're probably not going to get moksha if you dragged your father behind a chariot until he literally fell apart. So there's that. So here's the thing. We've got brother versus brother. We've got the Parthians insurgent and taking over their territory and expanding their territory. But who is sitting on the border? The Yuezhi. And it's time for them to invade. And these nomads come from the north, and they are going to, in the span of about 20 years, wreck the Greco-Bactrian kingdom. And all of this area right in here becomes the kingdom of the Yuezhi. And you go, well, what happened to the Greeks? Well, they get pushed. They get pushed down into this region. Oh boy, here I go killing again. Yeah. So, for a while, there's going to be a bit of turmoil in this region, which is modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan. And there's going to be a lot of arguing between the family of Euthydemus, that old power, the family of Eucrates, the sort of newer power, and other Greco-Bactrian families that had power, that were nobles. And it's not really going to be until about 150 or so when things around this region actually start to stabilize a little bit. And that's going to be under a guy named Menander the First. Now, here's the thing. Menander is no longer a Greco-Bactrian because he does not rule Bac-tria. His kingdom is going to be further south, down into here, into what is proper India today, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. And this is going to be a new period of time. So, and in fact, during the reign of, well, actually just after the reign of Menander, Greco-Bactria completely falls. The last of them fall to the AiH, and we end up with a new group called the Indo-Greeks. Exclamation, Indo-Greeks. Yep. So these are Greeks that are ruling in India. Indo-Greeks, right? But there's an important inversion here, right? And that inversion is important because of what it implies. So you have Greco-Bactrians, right? Which means that we are Greeks ruling Bac-tria. Indo-Greek seems to be a little bit different. Are we first going to be Indians and we're ruling in a Greek style? And the answer is yes. And this is an important shift because Menander is way different than any of the people that we've talked about before. Even Agathocles, who was sort of pro-Buddhist / Hindu. Menander is going to go all in. Let's look at Menander. Here we go. I apologize for not being able to find such a good picture of this guy. Here we go. Menander, who's still writing in Greek and still using sort of Greek symbols, but trust me, this guy is going full in with the native Indian culture. He is going to become not only one of the most important Indo-Greek kings ever, he's going to be a full-out Buddhist. And you might go, how does a Buddhist do conquering? Well, it happens. But who is Menander? Let's talk about who he is first. So Eucrates, as he was expanding down into India, was fighting other Greco-Bactrian families. And Menander's father had fought against Eucrates. So Menander sort of had, he grew up with a bit of a chip on his shoulder against the Greco-Bactrians to begin with. But when Menander takes over, he understands the instability. He knows that there's problems up in the Greco-Bactrian kingdom. He knows that they're fighting big civil wars up there. He knows that the AiH are coming. And Menander knows that what he needs to do to protect his kingdom is stabilize this border, this northwestern border up here, so that the AiH cannot get all the way down into India proper. And that's going to be his sort of first goal. And he's going to expand his boundaries all the way out into what would be modern-day Afghanistan, controls these big mountain passes here that are key to moving armies into India. This guy's a pretty smart dude. So once he does that, he's going to start expanding into the good old heartland of India, back where the Gupta kingdom used to be. The Gupta Empire, of course, controlled basically all of India back in the 300s and early 200s. But he's going to control all of this northern plain right here, including over into the Ganges River Basin, all the way over to the old Gupta capital of Pataliputra, which is right about here. So this guy's got a pretty big chunk of territory. Now, what's going to be interesting about this is once he sort of stabilizes the country, once he brings all of this territory into control, it seems like that's when he really starts pushing the Buddhism stuff. And he's going to get recorded in the Buddhist sort of histories. There are going to be people that give him Buddhist names that sort of elevate him as sort of an enlightened Buddhist ruler. He's going to oversee a vast period of crazy amounts of prosperity. I should put the years that he ruled. 155 to 130 BC. So Menander is going to be Very, very powerful, very rich, very stable, and he really starts in on the trade idea. By this point in time, again, trade was becoming a global thing again. It had fallen apart at the end of the Bronze Age, and this is really getting back to the point where you could consider all of the big developed cultures in the world to be part of one big trade system. And to prove how much trade is going on, we have found coins from Menander's reign. Again, Menander's in India. He's ruling down here in India. We have found coins from Menander's rule in Britain, which is like, I've literally got to tilt the globe to show that. This guy is latched into the big trade routes. And this is bringing so much money, just absolute crazy amounts of prosperity. He has the trade route. He's got lots of trade routes, and this dude is all about it. But, here's the but, that everybody was sort of waiting for. This is the other shoe to fall, right? When you have that much money, you have a vague recollection of him. There we are. When you have that much money, and you have that much power, and you have that much influence, other people want your stuff, right? Other people want to take what you have. And we're not 100% sure exactly what happened to Menander. We know that the last years of his life were spent fighting Zeus's butt. They want the precious, yeah. I can do a mean Gollum. Well, I guess mean Gollum is sort of a double. What is that? Is redundant, I guess, because Gollum's pretty mean. But yeah, the precious. They want that money, that sweet trade money. We know that the last few years of Menander's life were spent in battle, and this was mostly up in exactly where Menander expected it to be, up here in this northwestern region. And we know that he was on campaign when he died. Now, some of the sources say that he actually died in battle. Other sources say that he died and he was just sort of out leading his army, but it wasn't in battle, because they claim that his body was divided up and put into a whole bunch of different Buddhist stupas, which are like Buddhist temples, because they considered him to be that good of a Buddhist that his body was, kind of like a saint. You can see these saints' remains in Catholic churches and stuff like that. And what's even more difficult is that the sources after he died are even less trustworthy. We really don't know what happened after Menander when it comes to who took over. But we do know that we start seeing a lot of references to the Yavanas. Now, who are these Yavanas? So the word Yavana is pretty clearly not a Greek word. That's where you remember from. It was from a Buddhist lecture that you got on Audible. Yeah, that would make sense, Polar Martian. This guy became a pretty big symbol inside of Buddhism, and is still remembered as sort of an ideal leader, someone that should be mimicked or emulated. The Bactrian Inquirer. Yeah, don't trust those guys. Menander last seen with Elvis on island with Tupac. Yeah. Nirvana, Yavanas. Must be Kirk. Well, Yavana is pretty clearly a Hindu word. Yavanas are Greek rulers in India. And we know that they exist because of statues and reliefs like this. This particular relief is from a place called the Bharhut Stupa, which is a Buddhist temple, and this is pretty clearly a Greek and it is done in the native Indian style. And we know all of this because of art history and comparative ideology or comparative symbology and stuff like that. Was it Menander on Highlander? I don't know. That would probably be a better question for Cave Geek. I haven't actually seen all of the Highlanders. I've seen most of the Highlanders, but not all of the Highlanders. Anyway, hello, Twitch Peegs. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Anyway, so again, this is from the Barhut Stupa. This is a Yavanna, and this is one of these Greek kings of a Hindu nation, or a Buddhist nation, or Indian nation. And we know that there were a lot of them. So here's the postulation. Oh, you were joking. I'm sorry. I was trying to be helpful, and I just missed the whole joke. That happens sometimes. Menander on Highlander. I get it now. It's just because of the rhyme. Yeah. He wasn't in any of the movies. So here's the postulation. Menander was a big, powerful king, and he died fighting. And the hypothesis is that when he died, there was a big power vacuum. And people from both his family and people from his army and Greek leaders from other parts of the world all started trying to fight over India, especially this northern and especially the northwestern part of India. And the empire fragmented. And we know that there were a lot of different people that ruled during this period of time. Like the Diadochi. This is sort of another Diadochi scenario, but we don't even know all of the names of all of the potential candidates. We also don't have very good texts that describe this. Honestly, the thing that we go on to even try to sketch out outlines of this period is just pure coins. The history of coins is called numismatics, or the science of coinage is numismatics. And there are dozens of different Yavannas, and they all meant coins. We don't know the order that they ruled. Let me rephrase this. Certain people claim to know the order that all of these kings ruled. Nobody can conclusively prove any of it. There are a few leaders in the field that have done an extensive amount of research in this period, but I don't even know if they are 100% certain of their timelines. It gets really, really fuzzy. We think that Menander's kingdom broke sort of down the middle, and that this part over here in the east, which would have been traditionally much more Hindu and Buddhist, broke away from this part over here in the west, which had a much more sort of Greek feel because of the history of the Greeks controlling the area. But even where the borders were is hard to tell. We don't know all of the names of the kings. We do know that some of the people from this time were still trading with China. We have some documents from some Chinese trade registers that mention a couple of these kings. But when it comes to what's actually going on, we really just don't know. And I feel pretty comfortable saying that because I don't think we can know. And it's okay to say that. Like, history doesn't have to answer all of the questions. We know generally what was going on. There's a lot of fighting. Kings' reigns are changing very, very rapidly. People are not ruling for very long. And of the kings that get mentioned, only kings from the West get mentioned in Chinese sources. But this is going to change. And what changes it? Well, you guessed what changes it. Those good old UAG. Because they're going to invade. They're going to invade the western half of India somewhere around the 90s BC. And they're going to bring with them a new group of people called the Sakas. And somebody earlier mentioned the Scythians. Well, the Scythians are the Sakas, who are also mostly nomadic horse-based people. We've been talking about the Scythians for a while in the channel. It's almost like periods of massive upheaval are not good for detailed record keeping. Really? It seems like if you're running for your life, nobody wants to sit down and write a detailed story. Right? So the Scythians are going to have their day here between the 90s and the 80s BC. The Yuezhi and the Sakas are going to move into this region. The Sakas are actually going to take over a region right around in here, which for a brief period of time in history is referred to as Sakistan, which would be in the southern part of modern-day Afghanistan. But the Sakas are going to be very successful in getting over into India, and they are going to reestablish new kingdoms over here. And beside the Indo-Greeks, so you're going to still have Indo-Greeks ruling there, but now you're also going to have Indo-Scythians. And the first of these Indo-Scythians is a guy named Maues. It's free real estate. Yeah, exactly. Who rules from somewhere around 85 to somewhere around 57. We're not 100% sure exactly the dates of Maues' reign. But when I show you the coin of Maues here, well, you'll be able to see right away what he's trying to go for. Well, that's the break screen. There we go. So this is a coin of Maues. You can see his name here, Maui. Boom. But here we go. What is this guy? Well, that's an elephant. Anybody know what this dude is? Are you a Minender or a Maues? Anybody know that image or that symbol? It's the sneaky snake. It is not the Ouroboros. That's called the Caedicus, and that is the staff of Hermes or Mercury if you're in the Roman world. Yeah, so this is an elephant, and this is the staff of Hermes. So on one side you have a very clearly Hindu/Buddhist symbol of the elephant, and at the bottom the New York Mets logo. And on the other side you have a Greek logo. But the fact that you don't see the guy, yeah, Moose is like, that's not a dude, that's an elephant. The thing about the Scythians is that they did not like putting portraiture on coins. So the coin that I just showed you is both Scythian. Well, I guess I can't say both because that implies two. It is a Scythian coin. It is a Hindu coin or Hindu/Buddhist coin, and it's a Greek coin. So this guy's trying to do it all. And Maues is going to be the first of the Indo-Scythian kings. And he's going to take over a region that sits mostly right down here in this region where the kitty cat's face was, Gandhara. He's also going to take over this region right in here, which is called the Punjab. And he's going to take over the ancient city of Taxila and make that his capital. Yes. The Caduceus. The Caduceus. Yes, that's it, Crimson Clover. Moose has a point. He's a fraud. Yeah, you're not a man, you're an elephant. You had to Google it? So, Taxila, this ancient city, ancient city. If you were here when we were talking about the Guptas, you will know that the first of the Guptas studied at Taxila, and his mentor that helped him set up the Gupta Empire was a teacher at Taxila. So this is sort of a key home to Indian identity. And the elephant of the Maues. So when Maues makes that his capital, he is making a statement that this is his home and that he is an Indian. And the Indo-Scythians are going to make their mark. They're going to have a kingdom. They're going to establish lines of rulers. But here's the thing. Once Maus dies, after he had established this territory, it goes right back to fighting again. And you have the remains of the Greco-Bactrians, you have the Scythians or Sakas, the Indo-Scythians, and you have the Indo-Greeks, and they're all fighting over this area again. But times had changed in the wider world. While all of these countries over here, no, it's not Maus II, fighting. Yeah. So while all of these countries over here had been fighting, the Seleucid Empire over here had collapsed. And it had not gone down politely. It collapsed in a blaze of glory. And those tricky little Parthians had managed to take over this entire area. And the Parthian Empire was now one of the strongest countries on Earth. And we'll talk about the Parthians later on. Hunk. Again. You don't have to raise your hand. You could just do your thing, man. Oh. The Seleucids did not have a good death. No, they didn't. They went down like punks. Now Moose is going to raise his hand. Parthia and its struggles with Rome. Yes, we will be talking about that extensively in this phase. And the Scythians. Yes, we will talk about that later on too. Oh, you did. Was that? Okay. Do I need to raise my hand now? You guys. You're so silly. Anyway, so here's the thing. Parthia has established itself as a dominant Asian power. While all of these people are fighting, the Parthians see a window. And they think, all of those people down there have lots of money. And at this point, all of those people down there are massively killing each other, and the region is very unstable. What if we, the Parthians, went down into India and just conquered all of it? This seems like a legitimate question. Why could they do that? Did they have the power to do that? Did they have the desire to do that? And the answer to all of those questions is absolutely yes. And they pick a guy, and I'm going to have to, oh man, I'm going to run out of lines here. I'll just get rid of these, and we'll just go with Indo-Parthians. Because everybody wants some of that sweet, sweet India trade money. It's free real estate, right. Gondophares the First. And we're going to cheat a little bit. Because this guy rules into the AD period. So we're going to cheat just a little bit. The rise of Gondor. Where was Gondophares when the Westfold burned? He was sitting in Parthia getting instructions on how to burn the Westfold again. So Gondophares is one of these Greeks that has a lot of control and a lot of ties over here to Parthia. It is a long reign, and he's very successful in what he does. So the Parthians talk to Gondophares, and they say, we want you to go down into this western area, right in here, and we want you to take over all of that and become a friend of the Parthians. And we will protect your back, and you will protect our back, and we'll make sure that these weird Scythians and UAG that are causing trouble, we will mutually protect each other. You will be our friend. We will be your friend. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. It's going to be the greatest trade deal known to man. And so Gondophares goes down into India. Well, he doesn't actually go into India first. He starts right over here in good old Bac-tria. And he starts the conquering. And he's going to conquer all of this territory. And then he's going to break in through the Khyber Pass and get down here and conquer all of this territory. Oh, I should show you Gundofres, by the way. Well, that's not him. That's a coin of malice. That's not him, man. Here's Gundofres. That guy. Now, a few things to note here. Number one, this is not a Greek style. This is a very, what we would call Persian style. And that's because he's a Parthian. And while he's going to have some ties to the old Greek way of life, this dude is going to be interested in the Parthian stuff. Notice also, we're not writing in Greek on our coins anymore. He looks like Rambo. He kind of is Rambo. Who does he think he is? Franz Joseph, last emperor of Austria? His reign spans the life of Jesus with buffer at the beginning and the end. Sure enough, the Indians drew first blood, sir. So Gondophares is going to go down and take over this big chunk of territory. But this doesn't end the fighting. There are still Indo-Greeks. There are still Indo-Scythians. And now there are Indo-Parthians. And by the time we get to the sort of middle part of Gondophares' reign, this is what it looks like. So you've got the Yuezhi up here in Bac-tria. You've got the Indo-Parthian kingdom here being run by Gondophares. You've got the Indo-Scythians sort of trying to hold their own here in the middle. And you have the rise of multiple kingdoms inside of India. Because it turns out that the Indians were a bit sick of getting pushed around by outsiders. And they figured, if we make our own countries, we can keep these jerk faces out. Parthians are from the Greek pantheon, right? Parthia is a region that was initially right around in here. Yes, the Indo-Indians. Or as they called themselves, the Indians. Well, they didn't actually call themselves the Indians. They called themselves various people group names. But they didn't like the idea of all these outsiders. And so that is where we will put a push pin in tonight. And next week, we will pick up with the story from the perspective of what's going on with these different Indian kingdoms. How are they relating to all of this stuff? What are they doing to solidify their control? What's their politics stuff going on? How the ethnic groups inside of India clawing for territory? So next week, we're talking about all those cool Indian peoples. And next week, what's going on with all these toppings? I don't know. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of pizza toppings. Am I supposed to know what that is, Moose? I mean, I'd eat it. It looks pretty tasty, but that's a hefty pie. Negative. Not enough crust? Crust is important. It was supposed to be a cheese pizza. Okay. Well, that's not a good cheese pizza. That's a supreme pizza. I don't think that's anywhere close to being just a cheese pizza. All right. So that was all for my conversation tonight. And now we move into that odd description of the day where I try to make sure that I've answered all of the questions, that you all have had enough time to process everything. If you want to spend more adventure points, remember that below you here in the chat. You can click on the little icon of the adventure hat and see all sorts of things. I have a lot of stuff that's not just the sort of standard Twitch fare. Let's slip the puppy of war. Let me call the puppy. Okay, so I am certain that I woke up the puppy because I hear her making the noise that she makes when she wakes up. Come here, Katie. I bet she has a toy with her too. Oh, she has the chicken. Come and see me. Come here. Come here. Okay, come here. Come here. The people want to see you. Oh, yes, there's the puppy. Oh, hello. Hello, Katie. Oh, my goodness. Oh, so many sugars. Oh, yes. Oh, the puppy. Hello. Hello. What you doing? What you doing? You want your chicken back? You want to get up here and get it? Oh, yes. Give me my chicken. Oh, the puppy. Where are you going? She's got such a little derpy tail. Hello. Where are you going? Well, come over here. Come over here. Yes, I know. I see. I see. You want to do a trick? You want to catch a chicken? Let's see if I can get her to catch this on stream. Ready? Good girl. That's a good puppy. That's a good girl. That's a good girl. Yes. Oh my goodness.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus! I'm Spartacus!
I'm Spartacus. Honk, thank you so very, very much. And Pinky, you are now Spartacus. Welcome to the adventure team. Oh, yes, the puppy moment. Oh, yes. Oh, the Kaylee poo. Yes, so her name is Kaylee Fry, and she is named after the mechanic from Firefly, the TV show. Brittany's favorite character is Kaylee. Scroll up. Lots of redemptions. Okay, what did I miss? Let's slip the puppy of war. We have done that. Do an impression of Brittany. Oh, man. Impression of Brittany. Okay, so I don't know. Very few of you actually know my wife, and I don't know how many of you all were here when she co-hosted an episode. We did a viewer request episode on leprosy. And by the way, my wife has a PhD in biology, so technically molecular biology, I have to say this. So she knows all about that biological stuff, and I brought her on to talk about leprosy, and then I talked about the historical part of it. So you all don't have a lot of experience with my wife when it comes to knowing what she sounds like or what she does. So I could really get away with whatever I wanted to at this point. How do we get another co-host event? I mean, I guess you would request something that I think she would be a utilize. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. So I have to do an impression of her, and I'll give you this. My wife has leprosy. No, she doesn't have leprosy. One of the things that my wife does a lot, and if you and I will lean on Kilted Preacher to verify the veracity of this impersonation, but I promise you that this is a dead accurate impersonation. My wife very frequently has to endure my horrible puns and my absolutely ridiculous comments, and I get this face and this little thing all the time. No. That is very much my wife. Even for those of you that are unaware, Kilted Preacher is my best friend in the world. We've been friends since before I can even remember. So I'm supposed to rank 3 things, but I'm supposed to rank the war puppy. Pinky, I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to do with that. That's how you imagine yourself when you do that. Do you feel like I was okay? So we can refund you that, Pinky. KP, would you refund Pinky's puppy request? We could just do extended puppy cam if you would like. We can see what Kaylee is up to. She's currently sitting down here on the floor by me. You want to come up here and see me again now that you're awake? Doing the big puppy stretch. You want to come and see me? Here, come see me. Come here. Come here. There's the puppy. Yeah. Hello. Will you put your toy down and be nice for the camera? You give me sugars? Hey. No, you just want the chicken. Oh, you want that chicken so badly. Oh, you just want the chicken. Is that what you want? You just want the chicken? You want to catch it again? You want to catch it again? Get down here. Get ready. You get ready? All right. Ready? Whew. Oh, there's it. Oh, you dropped it. You almost had it. You almost had it. You want to do it again? You want to bring it here? Bring it here? Well, you got to give it to me. Can you try again? Oh, there's a good catch. Oh, yes. Okay, you're done performing now? Oh, my goodness. Okay. No, it's okay, Pinky. It's all good. It's all good. What? Are you talking to me? I saw something else here. Adventure hat. Something from Greece. Okay. So, this is the adventure hat. And when I go on adventures, when I go do history things, I bring the adventure hat with me. First off, it's just a practical thing because I am very pale skinned and I sunburn like crazy. I'm trying to tuck this back under it's just not working. I'll do it later. Plague stream featuring Brittany. That would work. We could do a plague stream. Okay, so anyway, this is the adventure hat. It has traveled with me to 10 different countries and 3 different continents. It's been all over the world. I love it with a love that I should not have for inanimate objects. But people can summon the adventure hat. I will don the adventure hat, and then I will tell a story of one of my adventures. And Vern specifically asked for a story from Greece. I was in Greece, not the summer of, what would that have been? The summer of 2019 with Mac, another one of the mods here in the channel. Let me think of a good story to tell. A good adventure story. Okay, here we go. I was not in Greece, though I do know many of the songs in Greece. So on the first day that we were in Greece, we flew in and we landed in the morning and we drove out to this big temple to Poseidon at a place called Sunion. It was absolutely beautiful. It's on this big peninsula that goes out into the Aegean. There's water all around. It's up on top of this mountain. It's absolutely cool. I'll type it here if you want to Google pictures of it. Beautiful, beautiful place. Great relic place, lots of cool ruins. There's an ancient city there. There's a really big temple there. Awesome. Anyway, we were leaving Sunion and we were trying to find this little middle of nowhere place called Thoricos. And we knew where it was because I had put a GPS pin in it, But here's the thing about Greece. The roads in Greece do not line up with the GPS maps of Greece. And we found ourselves in a very Michael Scott moment where the GPS was telling us to turn into this ravine. Like, you've got to go this way to get to Thoricos. And we're like, I don't think we're supposed to go that way. And we ended up pulling, like, we could even kind of see the site itself is on this hillside. It was this ancient city where there was a mine, and there were a lot of caves inside of the hill. And we could sort of see the caves opening over off the distance, but we couldn't find the road. And we were in this tiny little German car that had about maybe 8 inches of ground clearance. There was no way we were going to go off-road with this little car. And the clutch on this thing was horrible. Were there any geeks in the caves? There were not any geeks in the caves that we knew of. They had bars over the entrances to the caves once we got there. But the fun part is actually the getting there. So we were driving down this road, and the GPS kept telling us, turn left. And like, we can't turn left. There's no left. And eventually it told us to turn left. And I was like, let's just turn left. And so we turned left, and we go down this short little thing that looks basically like a driveway. And it turns out it is a driveway. And I just decided, I think I'm just going to get out and ask, because we clearly are close. Maybe we can just ask this person if we can walk from here, if we can park our car in their driveway and just walk to the site. Because again, we could kind of see it. It was only like maybe 300 or 400 yards off the road. So what is that, like a quarter, close to half a mile? We could have walked it pretty easy. And I get out of the car, and it is just immediate wolf attack. It's woo, 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 woo. And these dogs just like swarm out of this house, and there are like 3 or 4 of them. And I'm just like, huh? And I'm getting back in the car. These dogs just, rah, 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 rah. And this little old woman comes out of the house, and she must have been, oh my gosh, must have been probably like maybe 70 plus years old. And she looks at us, and we're like, hi. And like, she calls the dogs back, and then I get out, and I start trying to talk to her in Greek and ask her where Thoricos is. And she starts talking so quickly back to me. She clearly wants me gone, and I just couldn't figure it out. But anyway, we get the idea that we have to go back the way that we came and turn down this little thing that actually looked like the ravine, and then go down that way. Anyway, but I'll never forget, one of the first things that ever happened when I was in Greece was almost getting eaten by farm dogs in the middle of godforsaken middle of nowhere Greece. It was a fun time, but we got to Thoricos, and it's a great site. Really cool place. Had a good time there, but man, those dogs were scary, and they were big dogs too. Like, they were bigger than Kaylee, and there were like 4 of them, and very loud. So there's a good Greece story for you. I hope that satisfied the adventure hat for you. Okay, what else we got going? Anybody else redeem anything? Random history fact. Something roasted meat based. Roasted meat based. Trying to think of any good roasted meat stories. Oh, so here's this is a myth, but it'll count for a random history fact. So there's this story that, oh, what is this? I don't want to run updates in the middle of my flippin' stream. Go away, you. Anyway, so there's this story that in Viking mythology, and now I'm seeing emails that I'm supposed to be answering. I need to stop doing this. Let me close this window right here. Anyway, so there's a story that Thor had two goats, and you could skin them and kill them and eat them. And as long as you kept the skin intact and the bones intact, you could roast them up and eat them. And in the morning, they would sort of reform. So Thor knew this and had some friends that came by, and he decided that they were kind of out in the way, and he told all of his friends, like, look, here, we're gonna kill these goats and skin them and roast them up and eat them, but just don't break any of their bones, because we need to put them back in the skin so that in the morning they kind of come back whole. And one of his things was Thor's a big partier, so they got a little bit drunk, and one of his idiot friends decided that he was going to crack the bones open to get to the marrow. And when Thor figured this out, he's like, oh, dadgummit, you idiot. So in the morning when his goats came back, one of his goats was like pretty clearly walking with a limp, and Thor got real hacked off and killed the dude. Which is what happens to a lot of people that hang around Thor after he gets drunk. Thor tends to kill a lot of people. Bless his little heart. Yeah, and his little brain. So there's a roasted meat myth, which is actually a little bit of expanded from just a roasted meat fact. But a good roasted meat fact, there was an article that came out just recently ago where some people had reconstructed a Babylonian dish, a meal that was something like 4,000 years old that had some roasted meat in it. I know that Cave Geek shared it in his Discord. I'll have to go pull that up and I'll throw it in our Discord if you're interested. So, okay. Other redemptions. Anybody got anything else going on? Otherwise, we can pop over and see who might be hanging around. I've been hanging around this town corner. Let's see who we might be able to raid. I think we're going to go raid 8 p.m. But before we do that, I'll say goodbye to everybody. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out. Thank you, Hunk, for the gift sub to Pinky. Thank you to all of our new followers. Thank you for everybody's participation tonight. It's always more fun when people get involved and have good times and learn about history, but not necessarily have to be all fuddy-duddy. Appreciate all of you for being... And thank you, Pinky, for the giant flippin' raid. That was amazing. I always appreciate the friend zones of Twitch. Our overlapping circles of friends make me very, very happy on the inside. And it has really been a bright spot in a otherwise pretty dark time period. So I really appreciate all of you hanging out. So we're going to go raid 8 p.m. We haven't raided 8 p.m. in a while. He hasn't actually been streaming very much. But here's the deal. When we go into raid 8 p.m., we never really know what we're going into. So He's probably doing some art, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what we're going to walk into is art. We might walk into an ascension. We don't really know. It's always a roll of the dice, but it's always fun. And 8pm's a great dude and a really great artist. So I'm going to hit the old raid button. And I will let everybody know that my next stream is probably going to be sometime this weekend. I'm going to probably be building some Gundam stuff. Our next scheduled stream is this coming Tuesday, 1900 CST. We're going to be doing a viewer request episode on North American mythology, or Native American mythology. So make sure to come by and check that out. Next Thursday's stream is on the heirs to the Gupta Empire kingdoms in India. We're going to have a good time doing that one too. Hope everybody has a great time until I see you next, which will probably be Saturday. Maybe. We'll see though. Otherwise, when we get to 8pm's channel, our battle cry is adventure. So yell out adventure. And if you have those fancy adventure hats, throw as many of those into the chat as you can. Otherwise, I will see everybody around. Thank you all so much again for hanging out, and I will see you all around the interwebs. Have a good one.